Jerry, leaders right now have so much on their plate. I'm talking to leader after leader, day after day. There's a lot of priorities. The plates are overflowing. There's a lot of different things they could be doing, a lot of different directions they could be looking. In your work with supporting leaders and leadership teams, what advice would you give? How can they work on what's really important?
Well, I think first of all, it's kind of owning up to the issue, right?
Mhm.
So we have to first say, yeah, my plate is full. In fact, it might be overflowing. And I talk to many leaders every week, multiple leaders, and I'm getting the same message. And that message is I'm overwhelmed.
Yep.
I have so much to do. We have so many challenges, some created just by business is business, some created by pandemic, post-pandemic, supply chain problems, now the war in Ukraine. And let's go on and on. Is there anything else anybody wants to
We
throw?
can add to that list. Yeah. Yeah. So it no longer can be time management, right? We are out of time. We only have so much time in our days. It's got to get to priority management, no?
Exactly right. And so, although time management still has its place,
Sure. Yes.
when we force our clients to do a time management study, which is one of the most painful things we can ask a client to do, they find out that there is some room for improvement.
Yeah.
They are in fact wasting some time. But beyond that is, are we doing first things first?
Yeah.
And still being flexible enough, we have to be able to maneuver to changing circumstances, and especially in this day and age.
Yeah. Great. So I know, Jerry, you and I are both certified in a process called the prioritized leader. And here we are talking about priorities. Will you just say a little bit about, we call it TPL, the prioritized leader, about what that process is and what our listeners today could learn and take away from that?
I'm happy to do that. And the first thing I want our listeners to do is take a big, deep breath and say, if not now, when? When am I going to get hold of this issue?
Yeah.
And how am I going to approach it in a way that accomplishes what I need to? And one of the simple answers is you're not alone. You can't do it alone. None of us can. And so that applies to solopreneurs all the way up to major corporations. We cannot do it alone. There's a series of things we need. So in the prioritized leader, we talk about 5 P's, 5 factors that have to be considered. And not only do they have to be considered, they have to be considered in the right order. And when they're not considered in the right order, now we had a big blowback argument on our team about this.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that, well, what about if your arm is hanging off and it's dangling and it's bleeding? Do I sell you a heart transplant? Well, no. we have to triage the arm, right? We have to get that taken care of, and that's true. But in the end, if we don't get the sequence right, then the things later in the process suffer. And I'll give you some examples of that as we go along. So first of all, leaders have to clarify their purpose. So the first P is purpose.
First P, yep.
If we don't know why we're here, just listen to Simon Sinek. Just listen to him. Because he speaks the truth. And he says you have to understand your why. So ask your team members, what is our purpose? What is our why? Could they answer you? How do you find out? Go ask them. And the second part is releasing your people. And by that, I mean, what are the talents of your team? Do you know what the talents of your team are? Do you empower them to move forward and take even some risk, which is not tolerable for some types of leaders? But get over yourself, because the answer is there's power in your people.
Yeah.
job is to empower them and to keep them healthy. And by that, I mean, not just, okay, physical health, we can take membership in a health club and we can do lots of things, but I'm really talking about life balance and really thinking in terms of, does a person get a chance to recharge their batteries?
Mm-hmm.
I had one of my team members apologizing because she's going on vacation for 2 weeks in Mexico, and she's apologizing to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I said,
I might know who you're talking about. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it, Teresa. We'll get by somehow. Don't worry about it. We're gonna pick up the slack, and you need to go re-energize your batteries. And that's what she's doing.
Well, yeah, and Jerry, if I can interject, like, people have experienced work from home, right? They know some of the benefits of being with their family, of having some more flexibility to do some of those activities that refuel them or just entertain them personally as individuals. And employees in the workforce right now are expecting that flexibility. And they want their work-life balance to look and feel healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of what you said is true in the opposite. So too much flexibility. I'm at home.
Mm.
The kids are bugging me. Not do such a thing, but the kids are bugging me. When I first started my company, I had 5 children all around me in my dining room.
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty. So sometimes there has to be some separation, right?
Yeah.
And the lines have gotten blurred because of work from home.
Yeah.
Very blurred in terms of what is my own time and what is my work time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's like employers need to recognize that, yes, employees want and expect that flexibility. And there are challenges with work from home that the top employers are going to support their employees with, right? Like distractions, boundaries, right? How do we carve this out so it works for you, it works for the company, and it works for the work that needs to get done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of that what folds into that. So if purpose is first and people is second in terms of sequence, in terms of priorities, you have to get those two things straight. One thing that really impacts that is pace.
Yeah, the third P.
And pace has to do with the energy or the time that you spend in an operation trying to get things accomplished. And so if you have chaos, then you're going to see wasted time. It always happens because maybe a communication wasn't done correctly because we were in a hurry. And so we make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to undo those mistakes. And of course, it always costs money and it always costs time, always. So are you measuring the pace at which you're moving so that there's energy to your pace? We don't want to be complacent, but on the other hand, we don't want to take so much on. We just had a client out in California that terrific mid-manager in that company. His results on his analytic assessment that we did were way off in his view of himself. Why? Because he's so concerned about doing a great job, but he has so much on his plate that he can possibly do it. And he can't solve that problem. His management needs to step in and help him determine priorities so that he's not trying to do everything at one time.
Right? Yep. I'm guessing that pace might often be that place where it feels like there's some initial triage needed before we go back to the top of the pecking order with purpose and people.
It often is because our people are trying to get it done, but they can't get it done because what we're asking for, frankly, is unreasonable.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fourth P.
The fourth P is perception. This is our most debated P. But what we mean by perception is not that, well, if I believe it enough, it's true, typical definition of perception. It's more about innovation. It's more about how do I see what's coming? How do I know what's,
Mm-hmm.
how do I create new solutions? And when I say how do I do it, I really mean how do we do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't. One thing I have learned with my team, and I'm a recovering control freak, so I have the right to say this, but I stop myself and say, what do you think is an approach to solve this issue that we're having?
Mm-hmm.
And always being the one that has to come up with an answer, be creative and problem solve. There's power in the team, and you know what? It feels better, and they love it better because they buy in better. So really stretching them, forcing them to think differently and to get out of the box is a healthy thing, and it will help the organization.
Yeah.
Don't you say, all of you leaders say, there's nothing really new. It's just formatted, it's changed around, it's approached in a little bit different way, but it's
Yeah.
effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I'm hearing two important nuances in what you're saying, Jerry, that not only as an individual, I have that forward focused, innovative perception, right? Like, what are opportunities to enhance this process? What are new ideas for doing this? How can we have more inputs or outputs, whatever it might be? Like, have a perception that's on the lookout and open for that. And I also clearly heard the nuance about looking how others around me can provide input and ideas and opportunities, and not always feeling like I have to be the one that has the brilliant innovative ideas, and we're at a stopping point if I don't.
remember that it was a secretary at 3M Corporation that actually came up with the concept of Post-it notes with that glue that didn't work. And Post-it notes, of course, became the #1 selling office product in the world.
Yes.
So there you go.
My household does not survive without Post-it notes, Jerry.
No one can, and I pledge we've never used them in my company when they were invented. That's a true story, and of course they're used everywhere now. Okay.
We've got one more P.
One more P, and of course that's profits. And obviously, many of our clients, when they take our assessment, profits comes up first.
Uh-huh.
They figure, well, if there is no money, there is no business. They are right. They are right. However, profit is an outcome. Profit is an outcome. And so if we know what we're here for, and our people know what we're here for, and we're taking good care of our people, and we have the right people in the right seats on the right bus, yada, yada, yada. If that exists and we're operating at a pace that is manageable, that we can deal with,
Mm-hmm.
we are innovating along the way, that we're being smarter about how we do what we do, then the profits will come.
Mm-hmm.
What's the purpose of the profits? Well, it's to provide resources. It is to release, we have to release these resources to the team. If we don't, if you, this is an old story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So I was a director of administration in a unnamed company. And when I joined it, and it wasn't that far back, thank you very much. When I joined it, they had an old telex machine. Now, for you youngsters, you don't even know what a telex machine is. But the way a telex machine worked is it was like a ticker tape. A message would come in and it would start ticking out on this piece of paper. And then if you were trying to send a message out, you could only send it if the bell didn't ring. If the bell, the message would stop and you would have to start over again. And this was their way of communicating outwardly to the world, this telling. And of course, it was already probably 25 years outdated. It was holding them up. It was a system holding them up. and they needed to replace it. And of course, we did.
Mhm.
You have to have the right equipment, the right facilities, the right, and whether they're work at home or they're not, you have to have the right things in place to be efficient, or your people become very frustrated and they cannot perform the level of work that you're asking them to perform. So obviously, what is profit for? Profit, besides, making the shareholders and the stakeholders happy, the profits are also for releasing resources into the organization.
Yeah, that's really great, Jerry. And I think so many organizations, leaders, they struggle with those questions of where do we invest? Where is it most important to invest? What should be the allocation of resources? What should be the head count here and there? What capital expenditures in what order? Right. And we're seeing through the prioritized leader process that when you're clear about your why, you know the talents of your people, you've got that pace worked out, you're bringing fresh ideas and innovation in through perception, the answers to the profit questions are more clear.
If you start with them and you don't understand the rest of this continuum, you're going to make incorrect decisions.
Yeah.
And so it becomes critical. And we know from practical experience with the prioritized leader process that most leaders who complete the assessment do not have it in the correct order.
Mm-hmm.
What their scores might be in a particular area, they don't have it in the right sequence. And without, they're not going to get as efficient as they want to without burning out their team members.
Yeah. And I know we often see that profit coming higher up than number 5P, right? Because we need to make those decisions around allocation of resources and where we're spending money, and those requests and those questions are coming up all the time.
All of the time. Think about companies who acquire other companies.
Mm.
And so merger and acquisition, right? Merger and acquisition. So, but they don't merge properly and acquire properly. So they purchase this company, and then they try to pretend that now we're all one big happy family.
Mm-hmm.
You've now taken on our name. You've been adopted. You're a part of our family. But what about organizational culture, which goes back to purpose?
Yep.
What is the culture like? How are people feeling in the acquired company? How are the people feeling in the acquirer? Because now you're dumping all this extra work on us, so we have to deal with this other entity now that we didn't have to deal with. And it becomes a bloody mess, frankly.
Oh, let alone all the uncertainty.
Right.
What does this mean? What is the parent company going to do? What's going to change? Do I have a job?
So you need a great integration plan, and you need to follow a sequence. And the sequence is the sequence we just talked about, Amy, and the prioritized leader. That's the sequence.
Yeah, I agree. So today we are talking with Jerry Houston. He is the founder and CEO of HPI Solutions. Jerry's educational background is in business administration and operations management. He has held key management positions in industry for over 30 years. Jerry has been awarded Target Training International's President's Award in recognition of community service. In addition, Jerry has been named to TTI's, that's Target Training International's international faculty, an elite group who delivers training and assessment services around the world. Jerry has dedicated his career to the development of human potential and process excellence. You can probably hear that through a variety of certifications. Jerry's got a number. They include continuous quality improvement, behaviors and values analysis, performance DNA and HD analysis, emotional intelligence analysis, TPL, the prioritized leader that we've just been talking about, and more. As a longtime community activist, Jerry has served as president of various associations for developmentally disabled individuals and a homeless family program. He was chair of Business Advancement Services for the Arizona Small Business Association and was named their Volunteer of the Year in 2009. Jerry is also the author of the book, The Eccentric Entrepreneur. Glad to have you here with me today, Jerry.
Us authors like to hang around together, Amy.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
You just delivered your book to a graduation group from a leadership class and all of their leaders. So your book is in their hands as of this morning.
Oh, terrific. Terrific. I love that. Well, because I know that, Jerry, both you and I are passionate about supporting leaders to do all that they do. And we know that there's so much coming at them. They're managing up, they're collaborating with colleagues, they're taking care of their team. When leaders do it right, it's a lot of work, a lot of processing. It's a rewarding job too.
It is the best part of the job. Once you get in your head that your job is not to do the work, but to inspire others to do the work, that's your job. Be the biggest fan, but also, of course, hold them accountable. Very important, right? Everyone has a job to do. That's what we're here for. And we all need to know that. So it isn't just all about, some managers have said to me, oh, that's all kumbaya stuff, and it's not. It's not. But you do need to be able to recognize when somebody accomplishes something and make it important. And make it important because it is important and it encourages them to. I actually had to send a note to my marketing ops manager because here she is working away on Saturday because she knows we're having a really busy week this week. Working, and I had to order her off of that. Thank you for your fine work. Get off of the computer.
Good for you.
Go go to the stables and ride your horse. Stay off of the computer. And she wrote back a smiley face, and away we went. So because it's important, I mean, I appreciate what she did. Of course, she's very dedicated, but she needs balance. Everybody needs balance.
Yeah. Tying both into the P of people and the P of pace.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do want to loop back to something that you said about the first P, purpose, Jerry, and talking about the importance of knowing our why. And this also plays into your comment about kumbaya, right? I think that we used to think about knowing our purpose, knowing our mission as kind of a nice to know, like that feels good. And I think we're learning and getting more evidence, and it's becoming more of a mainstream conversation that we do need to know why we're doing what we're doing. And it's actually the why that pulls at our customers. They don't buy what we do, they buy why we do it. Right. Exactly. We've heard that from Simon Sinek, right? And then employees, we need to know like why we're doing what we're doing. If you're going to pull me away from, the people that I love and the activities that I love, that quite frankly, I got to do more of in 2020. I want to do meaningful work. I want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and why I might choose to spend my time there rather than on other things.
Absolutely right. And so can everyone say great resignation?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're doing this all correctly and people were enamored with their work, understood their work, found value in their work, understood the impact their organization's having on the world around them. If they understood that, they wouldn't be going elsewhere. They're going elsewhere because there's something missing. And they're looking for it. Now, will they find it? Won't they find that? Long conversation over a couple of cups of coffee, at least. Yeah. Long conversation. But we do know that people are dissatisfied. And a solution to that in this market is to leave. And we know the chaos that that's creating in all of our organizations. It's chaotic. And so that's very important. The currency is vision and values. You're right. That's the currency. Do you see if this sounds familiar? So leaders would get together, go on a retreat. That's a good idea. Go on a retreat. I used to fly up to the top of Vail, Colorado every year on their mountaintop experience. And they would come up with vision statements and value statements, and we would write them on flip charts and all of this wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
But did the team embrace it? Did the team understand it and know it and own it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen because a few leaders went away on a retreat. That's
Correct.
what happens. And so we have to involve people in the purpose. Also, I would mention the Gen Zers.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's the next generation. We're running out of alphabetical letters. We're going to have to come up with something.
Yes. Yeah. We shouldn't have jumped to Z like that.
Been more so interested in the idea of, are we doing something that's environmentally sound? Are we doing something? So I always think of companies like Bamba. So Bamba gives away a pair of socks with every pair of socks they sell, right?
Yep.
Target gives away 5% of their pre-tax earnings for charity every year, right? And they also just came out and made a bold statement with minimum wage for their employees at $24 an hour, by the way. So it's interesting. But this is what this younger generation is attaching to. They're attaching to it, and they want to be in a place that has some meaning for them in their lives. That's what attracts them. So we can stop putting pubs in our facilities and stop allowing dogs and cats to come and be in our facilities. That is not what the Gen Zers want. They want meaning.
Yeah.
If they don't get meaning, they'll look for that purpose elsewhere.
Yeah. Yep. 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 And they want an opportunity to contribute.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 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 Really great, Jerry. So for a leader that's listening today, right? So they're a leader, let's even just say they're a mid-level leader, their plate is full, and they might even be thinking, okay, like I understand the 5 Ps, I get some of what you've said today. What can they immediately do, Jerry, to make a difference in their day-to-day work and making sure that they're moving towards working on the right stuff, right? The stuff that's going to make the biggest difference for them, their teams, and their customers.
So mid-managers have it tough. They're the cream in the Oreo cookie, right? They're going to get squished. They're going to get squished, no doubt about it. And so what we often say to these mid-managers is, I want you to promote yourself. I want you to be president of your department, whatever your department is. I don't care what discipline it is, doesn't matter. But you're the president. This is now your own little business. Now, what would you do if this were your business? Because you may not be able to immediately impact the folks above you or next to you in other departments or below you. You may not, but you can impact what happens in your own area of responsibility. How you manage your people, how you set the pace for them, how you help them to be empowered to innovate in perception, and how you produce the kind of result that you're charged with producing. So there's a lot that you can do, but you have to change your mindset. And the mindset has to be a mindset of entrepreneurship. Why did I write a book called The Eccentric Entrepreneur? Because we're all entrepreneurs in the end. We all are. So you can do that from the middle of your company. And it starts with striking the word they from your always, well, they did this, or they caused that, or they won't let me, or whatever they are doing to me. And that's nonsense, frankly. Take charge, do what you can do from your level, run your department like a business, and treat people exactly the way we've been talking about on this podcast today.
Great. I love it, Jerry. Own your department, right? Use your sphere of influence, right? Be clear on the purpose of what your group is up to. And then I was also hearing just be on the lookout. Look, ooh, there's an opportunity to impact perception, right? And how people are viewing things. Is there a forward focus here? Are they feeling willing to bring new ideas to the table? Right? Here's something where pace has been off this past quarter, right? How can we impact that? Great. So step into your own influence and make a difference where you can.
If I can, borrow a phrase from you, Amy, it takes courage
Hmm.
to be a leader.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to take some level of risk. We all have risk at one level or another, and you have to take some level of risk to step out there. The old saying that if you want to go sailing, you have to get off the dock and get on the boat. And there's risk with sailing. The boat can sink, right? So you have the power. You just don't understand that you have the power quite often when you're in middle management.
Nice. Yeah, it does take courage. And I do know, and I want to share this out with the listeners, that there is an opportunity to get a no obligation 30-minute meeting to learn more about the TPL process. You can reach out at info@HPISolutions.com to learn more. And I love Jerry's advice, just to own it. You're the owner of your group, and start to be on the lookout for how you can make a difference and leverage your sphere of influence. Then your sphere of influence will grow.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being with me today, Jerry. I really appreciated it. Great episode.
It has been my honor to spend time with you on this. We've known each other for a while, and I know we philosophically come from very similar places. And so I wish you best of luck. I've listened to your other podcasts. All of your listeners should listen to all of your podcasts. Really have been outstanding. And so thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Thank you, Jerry. Well, it is a mutual admiration club. Thank you for your time today.